Hello and welcome. Um, this is going to be my first coverage of Rule of the Waves Asia server. So, um, in the absence of Cthulhu, I will be covering the Asia server matches, or at least as many as I can, today and tomorrow. These matches are not going to be live streamed, but instead, what we'll be doing is we'll be uploading these matches in two parts over on my YouTube channel, and they should be ready to view within an hour after this tournament finishes. So, this edition of Rule of the Waves is interesting and different from the European server edition because that one is a 7 versus 7. Meanwhile, the Asia server edition is a 5v5, I believe. So let's see how it goes. I've set up a new account for myself and I'm waiting for an invite from um, one of the admins so that they can invite me into battle and I can get started with this. So we have our two admins on Bismarck and Death Chan. So we see Death Chan sporting a Rule of the Waves winner badge. He really is a brilliant player. You should check out his videos at some point. I know when I was first getting into the game 3 years ago, this guy would be um, playing on the World of Warships Discord server and would be streaming his matches, and I learned a lot from just watching this dude play. Incredible averages there on some of his ships. Wow. 100,000 average on a Smolensk is not easy to maintain. Wow. 90,000 average on a TZP is just seriously beyond my capabilities. Right, so we have our first invite and are standing by. I won't waste time, so I'll just pause this video and we'll unpause as soon as the match starts. Okay, I think we're good to go. We have our two teams ready. Nürnberg, Trento, Gallant, Pudioni, and Afuso up against Degra, Pensacola, Icarus, Duca d'Aosta, and Prince Eitel Friedrich. Now, we just have seen one change here to a Hwange or maybe a Graf Spee. That's interesting. This will be the first time we are going to see a Graf Spee match in this edition of Rule of the Waves. I was streaming yesterday on the EU server. Nobody picked a Graf Spee. So let's see if this player can make it work. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce some of the names of the players because I'm not familiar with the Japanese pronunciations or with any of the Far Eastern pronunciations, so I don't want to risk offending anyone. Okay, so we should be underway momentarily. This again is a tier 6 battle. So um, we see all these ships locked at tier 6. Pensacola is an interesting choice. It's a great ship. It's easy to grind and can go up against most cruisers and DDs comfortably. So, interesting, good choice, Turbits. Okay, so let's see. This is a three cap map. Uh, Three ships on the green team are pointed towards A, and I think that's where they will head. They're going to face the two cruisers on the red team. One of them, the Degra, using his superior speed to cap B, and perhaps he wants to set up a crossfire, or he wants to, you know, go and reinforce the forces at C, while the Pensacola here will play the rabbit role. This is going to be an interesting choice. Of course, either of these ships cannot take on a Graf Spee, which has the heavy guns and the firepower to, you know, completely overwhelm these ships. Let's look at what these teams are trying to do here. So both the ships on the red team are, they've ignored A cap completely and have taken B. The Pensacola is trying to use the island to dodge some shells, but not working out for him, and they're going to lose B cap as well. Meanwhile, the two cruisers on the green team are playing the role of, you know, distraction or rabbits, and they're engaging the Prince Eitel and the Icarus, as well as keeping this Duca Diost at bay. The Gallant, run by 4429, has taken up a dangerous spot here. He's in front of two. He's protected by the island, but still, that's two cruisers I would not want to mess with at any point. Some torpedoes headed towards the Icarus. Let's see if the Icarus takes them. No, he doesn't. But he is forced into a turn, and so is the Prince Eitel. Green team have done a brilliant job where they've taken and solidified their position at A. They have B, and there's not much the red team can do about that fact at this point. And pretty soon we'll see the Fuso make his way somewhere around here and set up a deadly crossfire. There is, of course, a 1 BB limit in this match, so he doesn't have another battleship to pair with. Perhaps that's why they took the Graf Spee, because that's pretty much, that's what the Germans called a pocket battleship, and that's what his role is, to bully cruisers. Now, the Degra takes a massive hit. One more hit like that, and he will go down. So wisely, he uses the island cover and disengages as much as possible. The Graf Spee and the Fuso are going to cut off his retreat. They're going to pin him behind this island and make him completely ineffective. Meanwhile, the Fuso gets to work on the Spencer. And let's take a look at what the red team Battleship is going up against those two cruisers who whittled him down to less than 50% health. He's on single fire. He's going to face some long range torpedoes from the trenches, which do look good. Either he won't take them, but he's forced to turn and potentially take some torpedoes now from the Galan. Beautiful gameplay here by the made um, a very good gameplay here where they took A cap, they took B very patiently without much in the way of opposition and pinned down the red team to one cap and never let them get settled into any sort of gameplay. The Icarus, with a desperate throw of torpedoes, slinging them about, trying to slow down the enemy push and trying to disengage. Ditto for the Duca d'Aosta. I mean, there's nowhere he can run. He's being chased by 5 enemy ships and being shepherded into the corner. Um, I think he's a couple of salvos away from dying anyway, and he's run out of places to run to. He's right at the corner of the map. 10 seconds to go. Will he make it out alive? Is the question. Survival for the Duca d'Aosta, played by Gneisenau, but on the whole, a brilliant victory from the team in green. Let's pause the match and let's pause the recording and let's get ready for our next match. Okay, so we're back in action. The same team that we saw in the first match, I believe they're called Oni versus Steer Superior. This promises to be an interesting match to watch. A 5v5, predominantly cruisers, and in epicenter that means a lot of flanking and a lot of fast pitch battles rather than the slow snipey game that we see with 2 or 3 battleships in this map. Now, the Gallant making his way to the center. That's an unchanged team, so let's talk about the other team. Steer is using a Black Ismail, an excellent choice of battleships in Molotov, Fushun, Duca d'Aosta, and a Tigra. Now, I'd like to see the Tigra flanking more towards this, using his speed to try and get to this point so that he can set up a crossfire. Of course, he runs the danger of, meeting these 2 cruisers, but it would still be a good choice because then he'd be able to drag them away from the fight. Well, let's see how this goes on. The Gallant is in the center. His capping is he's blocking the cap of the Fushun. The first salvos go out to the Molotov, who's angled in such a way that he's being hit for a lot by both the Fuso and the Pensacola. Some nice crossfires being set up, and the Gallant torpedoes. The Duca will take one, doesn't cause a flood, but still does a little bit of damage, and that's what the Gallant wants, denying the enemy the cap, and causing a little bit of pain to the Duca d'Aosta. As soon as they can put him out of commission, uh, especially now with the double fire, they can start working over, let's say, the other enemy ships. Fusion launching some prospective torps, which will be spotted by the Gallant, so the Fuso dies can easily avoid them, but he seems focused on the Molotov. Meanwhile, the Gallant has launched a line of torpedoes towards the Black Ismail, which he'll avoid courtesy of the Fusion spotting. Interesting. Let's go in for a closer look. We see the first kill. Odioni takes down the Duca d'Aosta courtesy of fires, and now the Pensa trying to kite into positions. The green team has taken center cap and is trying. The red team is the black. Trying to get to the center cap and help his DD take that cap. I don't know if it worked out there. The Pensa's advance is blocked. Black Ismail backing up and targeting him, so the Pensa thinks it's better to move out. Meanwhile, we see the center cap is being capped for the very first time in this match. Heavy punishment for the Black Ismail. It was a courageous move, but I don't know if it was the right one. Shevchenko and Wong are both low health and both will go down pretty soon. Nice gameplay from the green team. I believe they're called Oni, and excellent focus fire. Not much the Molotov could have done. He should have used the island cover possibly here to make it safer for him at the start of the game. This match is pretty much over. The De Grauw will go down, if not in this salvo, then the next, and that just leaves a Fushun up against an impossible task. He can only try to disengage or maybe take down a ship with him. I don't think either of those things will be likely. The Bodioni should wipe out this Fushun in. He doesn't even get the chance. Nice play by Crow Uni, and they take a well-deserved win. They haven't lost a single ship in either of the two matches that we saw, so this is, I think, a team to watch out for. Alright, so finally we get underway after a very long pause. We have Steer versus Crow Oni, and it's a 3-cap domination map. Let's see how this plays out.
Alle Mann auf Gefechtsstation!
So, Steer with a Molotov and a Fushun. The Fushun is headed towards C, and it looks like he will be backed up by the Molotov. They'll face a Trento and a Pensacola. Meanwhile, the rest of the Steer's force, interesting choice, a Repulse and a Graf Spee will take position somewhere near this island and try to get here. Meanwhile, a Jurua, that's a very interesting choice, takes the cap, faces off a Gallant. Now, these are pretty much sister ships. They're both uh, tier 6 British DD clones, standard, um, you know, British ships. And they're facing a Gallant, a Nuremberg, and the Fuso. So let's see how this one plays out. The Chirua takes a beating from the Nuremberg, uh, runs away with his tail between his legs. Um, Meanwhile, Steer quickly capture B, and both teams holding on to one cap. A is still uncontested, but the Kilan gets back in and he will take the cap. The Shurua just doesn't have the HP to try and stop that from happening. Meanwhile, the Repulse is being chunked for large damage. He's had to disengage. And the Nuremberg taking an interesting position, let's say. The problem is, some juicy torps headed towards the Grafspee. Um, should have been avoided. He has all the tools. I don't see how and why he took those torps. Crow taking all three caps at the moment. The Gallant playing a brilliant game. He's but this is a KG battle. Still not a lot in this in terms of points. I feel the first team to lose a ship will pretty much pay and lose this match. Now, will that be the Graf Spee? He's coming under heavy fire from both the Fuso and the Nuremberg. The Nuremberg trying to first he was HE farming now. HE spamming now. He's switched to the AP to try and finish off the Graf Spee, who escapes on a sliver of health. The Repulse getting back into the fight, helping the Jurua take B, but he's in all sorts of trouble, and so is the Molotov. So let's see from Oni's perspective how this match is facing out. Yossi in the Pensacola playing a solid game here. He's not bothered about the Fusion. He's more interested in finishing off that Repulse. Once that Repulse goes down, I feel the game will pretty much be over for Steer. And the Molotov goes down as well. I think we can call it for Crow Oni. They've played a wonderful game here. They haven't panicked at any point. They've targeted, I feel, the right ships at the right time and finished them off. The game plan that Steer had was good. I'm afraid they just weren't able to execute it the way I think they wanted it to. Suyil Aditya trying his best in the Fusion to at least score a kill for his team. He can't torp the Gallant, but he can certainly make life very interesting for these two cruisers. Of course, these two cruisers can give him an interesting day as well. He's just hiding behind the island, At this point, nowhere he can go. He's pinned down by a gallant on one side and two cruisers on the other. Meanwhile, that Shrewer smokes up, uh, tries to torpedo the Nuremberg. The Nuremberg takes a few torps, survives, and the Fuso takes out the little Brazilian DD. Yossi in the Pensa goes down. I think this is the first time they've lost a ship in this tournament. And Aditya goes down to the Gallant. Not much of a surprise there. But can he take down this Trento? I think at this point there's nothing the craft speed can do. The Gallant will charge him and will try to torpedo him. Even if that fails, there's no point in even trying to fight. So, very well played from Crow Oni, and they executed their game plan with perfection there. So that concludes part one, and the rest of the matches that we have will be in part two. So don't forget to watch that video as well.